I was having a conversation today about one of my favorite sculptures by Bernini called The Ecstasy of Saint Teresa. And the reason that it came up was because I was explaining my feelings of occasional rapture, of deep connection with God. And in the sculpture, the founder of the Carmelite nun order is absolutely expressing an orgiastic face in her beautiful communion with God. Because there can be rapture in it. Absolutely. And the Carmelite order, I wanted to look up and find out, kind of what made it different than other particular sects of Christianity, was rededicating the heart of the abbey to contemplation and prayer. Prayer for everyone, all mankind, and contemplation of your relationship with God, God's relationship with the earth, but basically a very ascetic life, similar to a monk's life, where you take long vows of silence, and your life is one of service, but mostly contemplation. That's the center of the Carmelite nun order. And it made me think about ancient mystics versus modern mystics. So in antiquity, mystics generally did spend their time in contemplation. They maybe produced beautiful works. They might have written down their findings, but they were still very isolated. In fact, that asceticism to kind of stay as a hermit and very alone and sequestered, not just within the abbey and the monastery, but even further sequestered where they are all by themselves, to really not be distracted and to stay in deep prayer and solitude and concentration, was the order of the day. It was like the more steeped in it you were, the more kind of isolation was required. And I've said before that, the clamor of the world, it's harder to stay in touch with God with the clamor of the world around you. It's a little bit easier when there's no distractions, but obviously no judgment there. But the modern mystic, I believe, needs to be in just as close communication with God and have the time for contemplation as well. But that responsibility is not to hold it within. I believe the modern mystic's responsibility is to take down the downloads that God gives them as part of their contribution and share them with community. I believe that the modern mystic is a bringer together of community, with always a vertical access leading to God, all paths leading to God and your source. So that is what my discussion was today. So what I ask you is, which version appeals to you internally more? Are you someone that wants to share the experience as you elevate and as you investigate? Do you want to share that in community, or do you tend to draw in and want to hold your own counsel? So that is the question that I ask you today, and I will see you tomorrow.